We will now compute the distribution of a function of two random variables. Let x1 and x2, two random variables, and we assume they are continuous random variable, and their joint PDF is given as f x1 x2 at x1 and x2. Suppose z is a function of both x1 and x2. So suppose this function is g, then z omega is equal to g of x1 omega comma x2 omega for every outcome in capital omega. So this is what I mean by function. Z equal to g of x and x2 when for every omega in sample space, z omega is equal to g x1 omega comma x2 omega. So this also means that when you actually do this experiment and you get values of x1 and x2, you can put those value in the function and can get the value of random variable z. No matter what the outcome is, this condition is true. So how do we compute the distribution of z? So probability that z belongs to B is equal to probability that probability of all omega says that j omega is in B, which means it's a probability of all omega for which g x1 omega comma x2 omega is in B. So how do we compute that of the probability that of all omega says that g x1 omega comma x2 omega is in B? To that, to compute that, we will integrate the joint distribution of x1 and x2 over this area, which satisfies gx1 x2 belongs to B. Because for this set, it contains all the points which satisfy the condition that when you apply G, they will be in B. So this will actually this will actually denote the area of all points where x1 and x2, if they take values, their function G would be in B. So we have already discussed this form in the past when we were talking about the joint distributions. So you have to just take the joint PDF and integrate it over this area where gx1 comma x2 belongs to B. So you can also treat like x1 as x and x2 as y to understand this is one coordinate, this is another coordinate. So let us take one example. Suppose I am interested in two uniform random variable x1 and x2. x1 is a uniform random variable between 0 to 1 and x2 also. So their PDF is given by this in the area where x1 is between 0 and 1 and x2 is between 0 to 1, this is 1, otherwise it is 0. So in that area, and suppose I am interested in computing the PDF of z equal to x1 plus x2, which is the summation of two random variables. So probability that z belongs to Z, this is the CDF of z. Suppose I will compute the probability that CDF of z, then I have to compute the probability that z is less than or equal to C. And that is given by the integration of joint distribution of this condition is true. Z is less than or equal to small z. And z is what? X1 plus x2. So I want to integrate this PDF over the condition x1 plus x2 is less than 0. If I put back the PDF here, this is the x1 between 0 to 1, and this is the indicator. This will be 1 whenever x1 and x2 both are between 0 to 1. And I want to integrate this indicator over this region. So this is equivalent of saying that you want to integrate the indicator of this multiplied by the indicator of this over the region, over the complete R square. So remember that when we say that we want to integrate over a region S, then this means that for every other, whatever the function is, for every other point which are not in S, we don't count the contribution for it. So this will be equivalent of saying that I want to integrate on the complete space, but that I multiply the function with one more indicator so that it becomes 0 whenever we go outside the interested area. Okay, so automatically, even if you are integrating over the whole space, because the new function, which is the product of the original function and this indicator of the region, this function will become 0 outside the region. So they are same way, just two way to represent the same thing. So I want to integrate this region, which means that I want to integrate over all points such that those points are summation is less than z and the points are between 0 to 1. Now if you look at this region, x1 plus x2 less than or equal to g, this is nothing but, see this line is, this is a 45-degree line, and this line represents x1 plus x2 equal to z. And x1 plus x2 less than or equal to z will be all the region below it. So this is the region which is denoted by this. Let's call it x. Sorry, this is the region which is denoted by this. Now, what I want is I want to also multiply by this integration. So this will be that x1 is between 0 to 1 and x2 between 0 to 1. So integration of an indicator is just the area of that region. Okay, because this will take 1 whenever this condition is true and 0 outside it. When you integrate 1 over any area, you get the area as an integration. So the area of this region, let's call it S, will be what we're interested in. So this is first condition, then this should be, so x1 should be between 0 to 1 and x2 should also be between 0 to 1. So this is a rectangle of 1 radius with 1 point at the origin, and this is the region belonged by this. Whatever is the intersection of this, that area will be the probability that z is less than or equal to 0. So how can we compute this area? Again, note that the area depends on the value of z, because there is one condition here. So if z is between 0 to 1, this line, notice that this line, the boundary, cuts the x-axis at 0, z and y-axis at z, 0. So this intercept and this intercept are both z. So if z is less than 0, z is between 0 to 1, then this line will intersect the axis at a point before 1, because z is less than 1. Similarly here also. So in that case, this will be z and this will be z. So the area of intersection of this area with the rectangle is just this area, which is given by z into half. Similarly, if z is more than 1 but less than 2, the intersection will be more than, z is more than 1, so intersection will be here and here. In that case, this value is z minus 1, because it's a 45-degree line. And so this will also be z minus 1. And this is 1, so this would be 2 minus z. This is also 2 minus z. If I remove this area, which is half 2 minus z square, from 1, I'll get the area of this region, which is this. And when z is more than 2, this line will actually pass above this and the whole rectangle will be inside it. In that case, the area would be just 1. And of course, when z is less than 0, there will be no intersection with this rectangle, so area would be 0. So if I put them all together, when z is less than 0, the area is 0. When it is between 0 to 1, the area is half z square. When it is between 1 and 2, this is this. And when z is more than 2, it is 1. If you plot this, this will look like this. Sorry, this is the CDF. If you differentiate it, you will get this, which when you plot looks like this. So this means the density is increasing as you go to 1, and then it decreases and becomes 0. So earlier, the uniform random variable was constant between 0 to 1, but the summation, if both are 1, summation can be between 0 to 2. It has a high chance to be closer to 1. And as you move to the both edges, the probability of it being decreases. If you extend this to compute the summation of any two random variables, the computation will be similar. You just have to integrate, instead of the uniform random variable, you have to integrate this PDF over this region. And depending on the region, this can be a little bit complicated or simple. It depends on the PDF. For example, it was uniform case, this was just the area of the complete region. This can be extended to any function of two random variables. Suppose you have this function g of x1 comma x2 where it is x1 plus square plus x2 square. Then the region you want to consider is when this t is less than or equal to t. So that is x1 square plus x2 square less than t. So you will integrate your joint PDF over this region to get the CDF of t. We have seen the joint transformation of a single random variable and also a function of two random variables. Now we will see if we can solve we can compute a distribution of joint transformations of two random variables. So joint transformation means that if you have two random variable x and v, and they are transformed to get two new random variables u and v. For example, they can be function like u equal to g1 of x comma y and v equal to g2 of x comma y. So x and y together makes two new random variables u and v. And if you are asked to compute a distribution of u, you can compute by the method we discussed. Similarly, we can also compute for v. But what if we have to compute the joint distribution of u and v? So remember that for a single variable case, if we transform x to y, the yi function g, in that case, the PDF of new random variable was given as fxx divided by the g dash x computed at x equal to g inverse y. So the formula for this is also similar because you can see this g as a function which takes two values and give two values back as output. So the result, the joint PDF of two random variables u and v is given as the joint PDF of uv at u comma v is equal to the PDF of xy divided at Jacobian evaluated at the roots of this function g1 and g2. Roots means we basically calculate the value of x and y as function of u and v. Right, in single case, it's for x equal to g inverse y. Here it will be x and y evaluated at this joint transformation inverse. We will see an example to see how this is exactly computed. And the Jacobian is nothing but a derivative of this transformation in both axes. So JA is defined as du del u by del x, del u by del y, and del v by del x, and del v by del y. So all the four possible combination of the derivative. We compute this and then we compute a determinant of it. That will be the Jacobian of it. Remember that this actually goes to the this original formula if there is only one random variable. In that case, there will be only one term left here, del u by del x, which is same as g dash x. So let us see an example. Suppose x and y are Gaussian random variables. So their PDF, and suppose they're independent. So their PDF is given by this. 1 upon 2 pi exponential minus half x square minus half y square. This is the product of two individual Gaussian random variables. So it's a product of PDF of two individual Gaussian random variables. So these are independent. Now you consider transformation u equal to x plus y and v equal to x minus y. So this new transformation is the sum and the minus subtraction of these two random variables. And suppose we are interested in evaluating its joint distribution. So the joint inverse would be, joint inverse mean x and y in terms of u and v. So if you add them and subtract them, you get the value that x is equal to u plus v by 2 and y is equal to u minus v by 2. This is the inverse. Now we have to compute the Jacobian. For Jacobian, we will compute all the derivatives, del u by del x, which will be 1, del u by del y, which is also 1, del v by del x, which is 1, and del v by del u, which is minus 1. So if you put all those values and compute a determinant, this will come out to be equal to 2. So here it is independent but of u and v, but it can also come as a function of u and v for other functions, other transformations. So if I put that back in this formula, the PDF evaluated at x and y, where x and y are given by, x is given as u plus v by 2, and y is given as u minus v by 2. And the Jacobian evaluated it also the inverse, because Jacobian is not a function of u and v here, so this will be just 2, 1 by 2. And then the PDF, and instead of x and y, you will put u plus v by 2 and u minus v by 2. And from this, I get 1 upon 4 pi exponential minus 1 by 4 u square plus v square. It turns out that this also is a multiplication of two individual PDFs, which means here u and v are also independent. Also, you can also say that u and v are also Gaussian distribution. This result can also be generalized to n dimensions, where you take n Gaussian random variables and create a joint transformation.